Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to be doing my April TBR. So for the month of April, I wanted to try and do kind of like an unofficial theme because I've been doing like themed months. And one thing I like about themed months is that when I'm doing a theme, even though I have only like 2 to 4 books on my TBR that fit the theme, I do somehow find a way to read a lot more books following that theme. So for April, I decided at the very last minute that I wanted to do kind of a time travel theme. There's not a whole lot of time travel books that I'm choosing for this because they're still like my regular high fantasy books that I'm going to be reading, and obviously I have my Unwrapped books and my fantasy book series challenge that I'm also going to be doing. So I picked like 3 books that I wanted to read that are time travel related, and then I decided not to read one of them. So like there's not going to be that much of a time travel theme, but there is a good chance that during the month I might decide to pick up more time travel related books. We are going to start with my classic, which is time travel related, and that is Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. So I didn't know that this had anything to do with time travel, but as soon as I found out, I got really excited for it. I have read one other book by him before, which is Cat's Cradle, which is more like of a dystopian novel. Dystopian novels aren't my favorite, but I do really love time travel, and I did enjoy that one. So I feel like this one could potentially be really good. I've heard a lot of great things about Slaughterhouse-Five, so I don't know too much about it, but I like Vonnegut's writing style, and I'm excited to see what kind of themes he brings into this one because that's one thing he's really good at. And then my reread for the month of April is going to be Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. So last month, my reread for the month was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I'm doing a very slow reread of this series, and I'm annotating the books as I go. I'm really excited for this. So obviously, I'm still currently reading Chamber of Secrets, so I'm gonna have to finish that one before I get to Prisoner of Azkaban, but I'm so excited for this. Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite book in the Harry Potter series. I really, really love Prisoner of Azkaban, and I can't wait to get to this one. Like, you guys have no idea how excited I am for this one. I have a feeling like even though Sorcerer's Stone took me like 4 weeks to read and annotate, I feel like Prisoner of Azkaban is only gonna take me a week because of how excited I am to read this book, that I'm gonna get through it a lot faster. But anyways, I'm really, really excited for this one. And the third time travel book that I decided to pick up is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal, El-Motar, and Max Gladstone. So this is actually also a book that was nominated for the shortlist for the BookTube SFF Awards, which I am gonna try and read a few of those as well this month. And this is one that has been on my radar for a while. I don't know anything about it other than it has time travel related themes, and that's all I need to know because I'm really excited for it. Also, it's nominated for the best short fiction category, so that means it's a shorter work. It has to be less than 200 pages, which surprises me because for some reason I thought this was a full-size novel, but that makes me even more excited for it. I'm really excited to read this one, and I know absolutely nothing about it. I'm gonna be borrowing the audiobook from my library, and I've heard that the audiobook is really good for this one as well, so I'm excited for that. If you've seen my recent book haul, I recently hauled a couple of really thick Stephen King books, and usually when I do a haul, I like to put 1 or 2 books from that book haul on my TBR, and because it was time travel, I had decided that I wanted to read 11/22/63 because this book is very much related to time travel and alternate timelines and things like that, which I think is really interesting. But due to recent events and things happening around the world, specifically COVID-19, I decided to switch to the other Stephen King novel that I got, which is The Stand by Stephen King. And this one is an apocalyptic future novel in which everyone gets the flu. So I just felt like it was a really great timing for me to read this book. I hadn't planned that when I picked this book up originally. I had just wanted to read the book, but like it just seems like the best type of book to be reading while you're in self-quarantine and you're practicing social distancing. It seems like The Stand would be a good book to read. Also, it's super long, so you're not gonna run out of material. Also, I love Stephen King, and I want to read more of his works, and this is one of those books that they say in the Stephen King like multiverse that you should read before you get to like some of the later novels in the Dark Tower series, and I do want to continue on the Dark Tower series soon, so I want to read some of the previous works first, so I definitely want to get to this one. Next, there are several high fantasy books that I need to continue on with the series for. The first one is Memories of Ice by Steven Erikson, so this is the 3rd book in the Malazan Book The Fallen series, in February, at the end of February, I finished Dead House Gates, which is the second book, and I absolutely loved it, especially the ending. The ending of Dead House Gates makes me really excited for the rest of the series. Like, I feel like based off of everything I found out at the end of Dead House Gates makes me really excited to continue on with the series. I feel like it could be one of my favorite series of all time. So I'm really, really excited to continue on with Memories of Ice. I've also heard Memories of Ice, the third book, is one of the best books in the series, so I cannot wait for this. The other high fantasy book that I'm putting on this list for series that I need to continue on with is Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. I literally just finished Words of Radiance, which is the second book in the Stormlight Archives. Oathbringer is the third book in the Stormlight Archives, and I loved Words of Radiance. It's probably my favorite book that Brandon Sanderson has written, and I'm really excited to continue on with this series. This series has a wonderful world, great characters. The second book gets really political in a way that I really loved, and there are some hints and clues as to some potential character growth things that are going to happen in Oathbringer, which I'm really excited for, and I can't wait for it. Also, the fourth book in the series comes out this year, so I want to finish the third book before the fourth book comes out, and I'm really, really excited to get to this one. The next book that I'm planning on picking up is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. This book was also nominated for the BookTube SFF Awards for Best Fantasy of 2019, which I'm really excited for. I've heard a little bit of mixed reviews for this one. I've heard some people that really, really loved it, and then I've heard other people that didn't like it as much and really think that it's more of a YA read than an adult read. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm excited for it. I like the fact that it uses mythology and things like that, and I want to see what it's about. I've also heard that it's really beautifully written, and I love some beautifully written fantasy, so I'm excited to get to this one. Kind of along those same lines, I decided to also pick up a memory called Empire by Arkady Martine. So this is a sci-fi novel that was nominated for the BookTube SFF Awards for Best Sci-Fi and Best Debut, and it got nominated for 2 categories, so it's gotta be good, right? I've heard really good things about this, even though like I don't know that much about it other than everyone seems to like it, which makes me excited for it. I'm not a big sci-fi reader, and considering I'm already reading like 2 other sci-fi sort of books this month, I don't know exactly how this is gonna go, but hopefully I'll end up liking it. And I feel like I've waited a really long time to read this book, so I just feel like it's time to finally get to this one. And I've got one more book before we get to the fun part of this video, and that is Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. So I was really excited to get to this book. I ended up purchasing this book from the Book of the Month Club because I've heard really good things about it, specifically about the relationships in this book, because this is literary fiction and it is about female friendship and parental love, and apparently also spontaneous human combustion, because all of those things go together really well. I don't know that much about it, but this sounds amazing, and hopefully I'll end up liking this one as well. Okay, so now for some of the more fun part of this video. First, I'm gonna do my unwrapped books. So starting last month, I decided instead of unwrapping my books in my vlogs, I decided to unwrap 2 books a month in my TBRs. And this is because when I unwrap it in the vlog, sometimes I'm just really not in the mood for that book, so I never get around to reading it. This way, if I unwrap it at the beginning of the month, I can kind of plan ahead when I'm gonna read it, or just pick it up if I'm just in that mood. And I feel like that worked really well in the month of March, so I'm gonna continue doing that for the rest of the year. So I have 2 books that I'm gonna unwrap for you guys. And for those of you who don't know, my unwrapped books are books that I had planned to unhaul, but I wanted to give one last chance to, because I hadn't read these books before I unhauled them. So we're gonna unwrap them and see what they are. So this is gonna be the first book that I'm unwrapping. So this is More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. So this is a YA contemporary novel, and that's really all I know about it. I know Adam Silvera is a really beloved author. I've read one book by him. They both die at the end, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to see more of his other works, and hopefully I'll end up liking this one. I've heard he has a really unique voice, which I didn't really see very much in the other book that I read by him, but I feel like this one, which seems to be more like contemporary related, usually these types of books tend to bring out the author's unique voice a little bit more, so I'm excited to see where that goes. And my other wrapped book. Apparently, I'm going to be reading a lot of sci-fi this month, which is surprising because I don't read that much sci-fi often, but I got the Jane Austen Project by Kathleen A. Finn, and I think this actually really fits my theme because this one has time travel in it. At least I think it does. Yep. Two researchers from the future are sent back in time to meet Jane Austen and recover a suspected unpublished novel. So I love Jane Austen, I love time travel. I'm excited for this. This could potentially be really good. And I'm really surprised that like 2 months in a row now, one of my Unwrapped books met my theme, which is surprising. Like, I did not plan this, guys. It just kind of happened, but I'm gonna go with it. So now it's time to pick out my fantasy book series challenge. So my fantasy book series challenge is a bunch of fantasy book series that I've been meaning to pick up for a long time and just haven't gotten around to it. And I decided this year I'm gonna start a bunch of fantasy series because I've been pretty good at finishing fantasy series, but not as good at picking up some of lesser known fantasy series. So I wanted to put some of those in here. There are some popular ones in here as well, but I'm really excited to continue on with this challenge. I've been doing a pretty good job on it so far, and I'm really excited to continue on. So I get to choose 2 of these per month. So let's see what we got. So that is the first one we have. And it is The Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne by Brian Stavely. So the first book in that series is The Emperor's Blade by Brian Stavely, which I'm so excited for this. Like, as soon as I held this book, I got so many comments about how good it is. So I'm really excited to get to this one. I was kind of hoping that I would pick out this one pretty soon, so I'm really glad that I did. I don't know that much about this book other than it's fantasy, but it looks Asian inspired just from their faces, so I love a good Asian inspired fantasy. I really want to know if it's Asian inspired now. I don't know. It doesn't say if it's Asian inspired or not, but it does seem really interesting because it looks like the emperor died and his children are like scattered across the globe or whatever. And there are assassins out of them, which just sounds amazing. And I'm really, really excited for this. And I get to choose one more. Okay. It's Seven Waters by Juliet Marillier. This is pretty good timing because I just got this novel. I literally just hauled it in my last book haul and I'm pretty excited about this. Juliet Marillier is a female author of classic fantasy, which I'm excited for. She's also really well known for fairy tale retellings. I first heard of her books through a booktube channel. I think it's called Sam's Nonsense, and Sam really likes Robin Hobb, which I love Robin Hobb, so I feel like we have similar tastes, and that Juliet Marillier is another author that I could potentially really, really love, so I'm really excited for this as well. Also, I kind of like that both of the series were very different because one is very much of like a wartime fantasy, and then the other one is more of like an atmospheric, at least I assume, more atmospheric type of fantasy. So I'm excited for those. I feel like those could be really good. So now it's time to talk about my poll. So the winner of the poll for the book that I'm going to be reading in April is Middlegame by Seanan McGuire. And I'm honestly pretty surprised that you guys chose this one. Like, I shouldn't be that surprised because it's like the only like adult fantasy book on the list, which, I mean, obviously I love adult fantasy and you guys watch my channel, so obviously you guys probably love adult fantasy also. But I didn't expect this one. I don't know why, but I am excited to get to it. I do have a hold on it in my library for the audiobook, so hopefully I'll end up liking it. Seanan McGuire is an author that's kind of hit or miss for me sometimes, but I feel like with adult fantasy, and it's a pretty thick one from what I understand, she'll be able to get all of those details in that I look for in my fantasy books. So that makes me really excited. And now it's time for you guys to vote in a poll for the book that I'm going to be reading in May. So I do have a theme for the month of May, and it's going to be YA, because there's a lot of YA that I really want to read that I haven't really gotten around to reading a whole lot of YA this year yet. Like, if you look at my TBR, even just for the month of April, there is no YA on it, and I don't think I've read that much this year. I think I've read more middle grade than I have YA, which is just weird. So in May, I'm going to be getting all of that YA in. So I have picked 5 YA series that seem pretty popular to me that I haven't picked up, and I think that I'd probably really like, so you guys can choose which one that I start in the month of May. And since it's series, if I do get to them, I might read more than one. I don't know. I'm not making any promises yet. So the first one on this list is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. So this is obviously a high fantasy YA, and I was actually supposed to read this one in February. It was on my TBR, but I didn't get to it. But I am really excited for it, so you guys could definitely vote for it. The next one on this list is Miss Peregrin's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. I've heard really great things about this book. I don't know if it's necessarily fantasy or technically horror, but either way, I'm really intrigued by it, and I'll be excited to pick it up. The next one on this list is Legend by Marie Lu. So this one was on my radar back when dystopian was really in, but I never ended up picking it up because I read The Hunger Games and I really loved The Hunger Games. Then I read Divergent and I didn't like by Divergent, and I was kind of done with dystopian. But I've heard really great things about Legend, so if you guys want me to read it, I would definitely be down for it if you guys vote for it in the poll. The next one on this list I actually own, and that's Stavely by Garth Nix. I've heard really great things about this series. From what I've heard, it's like a different type of YA series. Like, it doesn't necessarily read like YA, but it is definitely still a YA fantasy, so I would definitely be willing to pick this one up as well. And obviously, I already own a copy of it. And the last one on this list is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. So Maggie Stiefvater is an author that I really enjoy and I want to read more of. I read her Wolves of Mercy Fall series when I was a lot younger, but I never did read The Raven Boys, even though that is her most popular series. And I've heard so many great things about it, so I want to read it. You guys could definitely vote for that one if you guys are interested in me picking that one up in the month of May. So I'm gonna go ahead and link that poll up in the cards for you guys to vote on. Also, let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, because I would love to discuss it with you guys. I post videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, so consider subscribing. I also post bonus videos, so if you want to be notified as soon as I upload, you can click that little bell icon. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.